Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome again to another edition of Grassroots Motorsports Live, presented by CRC Industries. Chris, come on in a little bit closer. Let's. This is going to be a nice, fun, intimate. Now, okay, there you go. Good. I think. I don't know. That was pretty good. Hey, before we get going with the show, I went to my own phone. I went to my own social media. I shared this video on my own personal feed. Appreciate it if you would do the same. I will. Where am I going to put my phone? Somewhere safe. Here, let's put the phone up here, and I'll completely forget that it's there. But we are going to have some fun tonight. Here's what I want to do before we get really moving, though. This has been working the last couple weeks. I want everybody who's watching us on Facebook, especially, to throw a comment down in the comment stream. Don't care what you say. Doesn't have to be witty. Doesn't have to be intelligent. Doesn't even have to make sense or be in English. Just throw a comment down there. Mash your keyboard, hit enter, throw a comment down there. I think what that does, all the high-paid video gurus tell me that is a way to kind of fool Facebook's algorithm, and it brings us up a little bit higher in the Mojo rankings. Maybe gets a few more eyes on the show tonight, and we'll have a nice big crowd in here hanging out, watching us just do stuff in the shop. Let's see who we got hanging out already. I see Brian says he's just here so he doesn't get fined. And Gregory shared, thank you very much. And David wants to know if our pest control officer is going to make an appearance. Yeah, so here's what's going on there. You guys, if you're regular viewers of the show, and if you are, thank you very much. If you're regular viewers, you might be familiar with the fact that here in the shop, we're kind of out in the country a little bit. We're away from civilization a little bit on the property out here. And, we got some wildlife out here. We had a little bit of a rat problem well, it wasn't a problem for them, but it was kind of a problem for us. We had a little bit of a rat issue going on here in the shop over the last couple months. Well, we've trapped a lot of them and humanely released them over near the Motor Trend offices. And so we've been cutting that down. But recently, the rat problem has dropped down to almost nothing because a couple nights ago, we found about a 6-foot eastern rat snake just hanging out in here, just being our pal. And I am... while I respect their service and enjoy their contribution to the common good, I am not the biggest fan of snakes like a lot of people. But we got our parrots down here and doing stuff, so I actually had to grab him and pick him up and take him somewhere. And he came back the next day, and we have not seen him yet tonight, but I'm sure by the end of the night he'll just be wrapped around Ed's leg back over there doing social media, because he's very friendly. He's very nice, and he's changing my attitude about snakes. All right, let us get to the show here. Here's what we are doing tonight. Yeah, Greg said he had 2 black snakes in his shop the other day. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. Snakes are freaky. Snakes are a little freaky. Glenn wants to know, will a comment get him some free brake cleaner? Maybe. We are going to actually, the answer is it very well could. Towards the end of the show, I will be giving you guys a link where you can get some free stickers. And every week when we send out the free stickers, we are throwing a little bit of CRC swag in. Sometimes 1, sometimes 2, but we are sending some CRC swag out into the world. So that is your chance to maybe get some of that stuff, and we'll have that towards the end of the show. Here's what we're doing tonight. We're didn't do a lot of planning here. This is going to be kind of a real-time, free-form thing. We are taking bushings out of control arms, out of subframes. We're just going to kind of talk about and mess around with some different techniques to take bushings out. And I'm going to warn you right up front, we may fail on some of these, but we're going to try a few different things. We're going to see what works. We're going to see what is utter garbage and a waste of time. And you're just going to kind of ride along while we go through the process. I did literally almost no prep beyond just grabbing a few things that I thought I might need. That was the only prep I did tonight. because I wanted you guys to be part of the process. You know, I wanted to kind of do this in real time, and I'm not the brightest guy in the world, so we'll see how far we get on some of this stuff, and we'll see what we can do, and we'll see what techniques we can use to get some of these bushings out of here. Before we get our hands dirty, before we get going here, let me tell you about the folks that make this show possible. Of course, you, the viewer, but our friends at CRC Industries. You can check them out at crcindustries.com. All kinds of great chemicals for automotive, household. Everybody knows how great Brake Clean is, and those Brake Clean Pro Series cans are out there on the shelves now. It's Brake Clean, just in a way bigger can, which is like the only thing better than Brake Clean is more Brake Clean. So those are out there at O'Reilly, Advanced, Napa, Lowe's and Walmart have CRC stuff. So if you're out there, if you're grabbing chemicals off the shelf, you need something, you grab that CRC stuff, baby. You're getting good stuff. We know that. You're also helping support this world that we live in here, because they support shows like this and amateur and professional motorsports at every level. I also want you to check out Koni shocks. The Koni sale is over. I am sad to relay that information to you. There will be another one soon, and we'll be hearing more from Koni Man. We're going to try and get to the bottom of what's up with Koni Man. We'll have a tech tip in the middle of the show from Koni shocks. Check them out at koni-na.com, and they're going to have another sale coming up really, really soon. Promise you that. Also, check out our new friends, Pen Grade Oil, baby. This stuff, the green stuff, if you have an older car, if you have a car with mechanical lifters, without those modern roller lifters, if you have something a little bit older and you need an oil with a lot of zinc, a lot of phosphorus, a lot of all the stuff that made oils great before we went to a lot of modern engine architecture, this is the stuff. If you don't need any zinc additive, right out of the bottle, if you've got a 240Z, if you've got a 911, if you've got a 68 Camaro, Pen Grade, high zinc, high phosphorus, great for classic cars, also great formulations for modern cars. And we're going to have one of their folks on the show in the next few weeks as well, telling us all about oil. Check them out at pengrade.com. And finally, our friends at the world's greatest bookstore, Autobooks Aerobooks in Burbank, California, autobooks-aerobooks.com. Tens of thousands of books, magazines, videos, collectibles on cars, boats, airplanes, motorcycles, trains, blimps, helicopters, anything that moves, wings, wheels, pedals. They've got it. Also, great live events. Lynn St. James is going to be there in the next week or two. Authors of books, signing books, hanging out, doing cool stuff. Cars and coffee events. If you're out there, anywhere in Southern California, you owe it to yourself to head to Burbank, check out Autobooks Aerobooks. You can't make it, check them out on the web at autobooks-aerobooks.com. All right, let's get to work here. Let me see if I missed anything. Alan says, just seeing a bunch of sponsors. Yes, Alan, we gotta pay some bills here, but we're getting to the work right now. Dinesh says wanting destruction. No, Ian's talking about destruction. Yes, there will be some destruction. Okay, let's get right to work here. This is this rear subframe, right, Ed? Yeah, rear subframe off of an E36 BMW. Off of an E36 BMW. This is Ed Higginbotham's car. He's already put some bushings in the subframe here. Let me do something over here quick. So actually the first comment we got on YouTube, and welcome to the folks watching on YouTube tonight. The first comment we got on YouTube is take a torch to them, burn them out of there. We're definitely going to do that tonight. I am unashamedly a fan of burning bushings out. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth about that process later, because we do have to talk a little bit about the metallurgy that we're dealing with when we're burning bushings out. But this first one I'm not going to burn out, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. And then somebody suggested the run a drill bit around the outside of it method. That has literally never worked for me in my entire life. I'm going to try that again later. Maybe I'll get lucky tonight. I have never ever succeeded in doing the run a drill bit around the outside method ever. So maybe tonight's tonight. Here's the first one we're looking at here. Is this this bushing, which is off axis of the rest of these bushings, and also kind of hidden inside this surrounder here. Ed, what does this hold up? Okay, so this actually holds the diff up on an E36. So we see some issues already that we couldn't get this in a press. We might be able to get it into a vise that has really, really big jaws, but there's just too much structure here for us to thread this into a press. So what I thought we might try is, let's take this piece of all thread and our handy Harbor Freight $29 ball joint pulling kit, which is essentially just a bunch of different size tubes and cups and spacers, and I'm going to see if we can pull this bushing out with this piece of all thread using our kit here. I'll put a couple washers on the end to keep things honest. And if anybody sees me doing anything just really grossly wrong here, feel free to let me know. I'm not saying anything will happen. Dinesh wants to know if I used a coupon for that kit. So yeah, confession time here, folks. You guys know that Harbor Freight is an advertiser in Grassroots. So we get their ad materials in, you know, a month or so before the actual issue comes out. So yes, I will 100% admit to I have gone to Harbor Freight with an ad and a coupon that is not available to the general public yet, and used that coupon. And I've actually been told by the Harbor Freight people that the coupon was not yet active, and how did I get my hands on that coupon? And but really, I do it for you. You know, I'm taking one for the team. All right, we're actually making some progress here. So yeah, I always have one of those 20% coupons on my phone that I've stolen from an ad in the magazine. Chris, get in there. So we are making a little bit of progress here. We've smushed it down a little bit. I got a good feeling about this. No, not yet. I think it's actually starting to break loose, Ed. Actually, you know what you can do is maybe come here and hold the wrench, because the so if you can hold this wrench on this nut here, because that's starting to get pulled inside. it suddenly got much easier. So, are you kidding? All right, that's it, folks. Good night, everybody. I'm JG Pasterjack. The show is now over. So that actually worked really, really good. So kudos to the folks at Harbor Freight, and kudos to me for guessing right on that one. Here's the bush. Let's talk about bushings a little bit while we got this one out of there. Actually, I'm gonna go look at all the approval that I've gotten. Michael, that was a gear wrench, Michael. Actually, it was the Cobalt version of the gear wrench. Oh, and Eric says he's going to make a surprise visit during one of these broadcasts next time he goes visits his parents in the R's. That's code for you folks living in Palm Coast, that Eric is in the R section in Palm Coast. Palm Coast is a city that is sort of all organized. Well, it's not organized by alphabet. There's just random alphabet letters denoting different neighborhoods. So yeah, actually, you know what, man? If you're down here, send us an email, and if we're doing something in the shop that week, you know, that we'll give you directions and come on over, and we'd be happy to let you watch the show. Let me okay, so that's one down. I'm pretty impressed. Let's Ed, tell me a little bit about what's going in here. This is a bushing. While we got this out, let's give a little plug for Condor Speed Shop here, right? This is
yeah, putting in their full kit for the rear bushings, and I'm looking up what that bushing material is actually called right now.
Okay, it looks like some probably nylon or maybe some sort of impregnated. Well, Delrin's a trade name, but whatever the non-trade equivalent of Delrin is, it's been like impregnated with some kind of a lubricating agent. But yeah, our friends,
it's UHMW is what they call
okay.
It, self-lubricating Delrin.
Okay, so yeah, self-lubricating UHMW Delrin. This is our friends at Condor Speed Shop down in South Florida, former winners of our $2,000 challenge. Our buddy Carlos down there makes all kinds of cool stuff for BMWs. This is their complete kit for the rear, the E36. The bore in there is actually fairly nice. So, kind of a press fit for that. So we'll let Ed finish that up. But nice fit on the sleeve here. So basically, when we're replacing bushings, as we talked about a few weeks ago when we talked about the spherical bushings on the Corvette, we're getting rid of all the compliance that is inherent in this rubber. I mean, it's hard to see in the picture, but I can actually take this bushing and squeeze it and deflect it a little bit. So if just with the pressure of my, you know, feeble 48-year-old hand, I can deflect this bushing by a few thousandths of an inch, imagine what, you know, the 800 pounds or so on the corner of each car is doing to a rubber suspension bushing. That compliance creates a dynamic alignment change, essentially, and so basically the alignment of your car changes with various loads, and rarely for the better. You know, whenever your alignment changes, obviously it's not something you're in control of if it's happening dynamically, if it's happening under load. So we replace those bushings with something with less compliance. Well, as soon as you introduce something with less compliance, you introduce a lot more vibration into the chassis of the car. So you've got a Delrin nylon bushings, you know, these sort of what I call like a semi-compliant bushing, are sort of the compromise bushing. It's a very hard material, very solid material, still a slightly plastic material. So there is a little bit of vibration isolation that goes on here, although there's very, very little deflection. Polyurethane is sort of one step up from rubber. Polyurethane, you've got much less deflection from rubber, but still a fairly good ability to absorb vibration. Delrin, or sort of a hard plastic bushing, Delrin, nylon, those type of materials would be the next step up from a polyurethane bushing, where you're taking as much compliance as possible out of the bushing. You're basically letting any actuation that take place with these metal sleeves that can articulate inside these bushings, or the bolts that can articulate inside the sleeves. So you're getting rid of that compliance, but you still have just a little bit of vibration isolation in there, which, you know, still means that there is a bit of compliance. Next step up from that would be spherical bearings like we installed in the Corvette. Take away all that compliance, but you also take away any and all vibration isolation. So that is then gone. All right, let's do one of these Miatas here. See if we got any questions. Anthony says he's had issues with poly going dry and melting from friction. Yeah, I mean, any of these bushings that aren't moving on a sealed bearing, you will have to lubricate occasionally. This one here, there's going to be motion, you know, between this sleeve and this outer bearing, and there's going to be motion between the bolt going through this sleeve and the sleeve. So you want to have something in there, so you don't just have, you know, a highly abrasive, highly friction inducing thing going on there. I use, well, of course I use a CRC product. I use their electrical grease, the clear dielectric grease. I find to be a fantastic lube for polyurethane bushings and for sway bar bushings and stuff. Stays in place. You know, it's not real harsh. You can take it off easily, and it's not reactive with the plastic. All right, let's go to something else here. These are some Miata parts, and these are sort of spares out of our Lemons, and they were just kind of sitting around. And one thing that's tricky about these, so you can see this bushing is just completely split and gnarled up. You would have a hard time getting this into a press, because again, you have this leg down here. You might be able, if you had like an offset head, you might be able to get one side in there, but we might be able to get this into the vise. See if I can find a cup that'll fit on here. Let me see how much room I got. Yeah, it's not going in the vise. Okay. Well, maybe not. So this one, let's see if we have that shorter. Man, that's pretty long. Okay, this one may be getting burned out. So yeah, let's do that, and let's talk a little bit about burning bushings out of stuff, because there are some things to consider here. The first thing you might be worried about burning a bushing out is what am I going to affect with heat and fire? And obviously you're going to take whatever finish is on here off of there. That's gone. If you're pulling bushings out of something anyway, you're probably not that worried about the finish. Next thing you're going to be worried about is metallurgical questions. Am I affecting the strength of this metal by applying heat to it? Now, I'll preface this by saying I am not a metallurgist, but I do have some sort of basic knowledge of what's going on there, and we can talk a little bit. We can put ourselves in danger by applying that basic knowledge. We can make a few generalizations. If we're talking about a steel control arm, steel melts at like 2400, 2500 degrees. But all metals have what's called a forge temperature, which is the temperature at which the metal becomes fully plastic. The bonds between the atoms in those metals, for all intents and purposes, separate. The metal becomes extremely malleable and extremely easy to alter the crystalline structure of at that forge temperature. Forge temperature, usually about 70% of a metal's melt temperature. So for steel, you're talking about 2400 degrees of melting temperature. So you're talking about what, 1700, 1800 degrees of forge temperature. That's pretty hot. But you also have a lower temperature that the metal will start to become soft at. The metal will actually become, you know, more malleable than it is at room temperature. But you are not really materially affecting the crystalline structure at those temperatures. I'm not going to say you're not affecting the crystalline structure, because you are. You absolutely definitely are. But not as much as if you were taking it to a forge temperature, where you actually need to get it to that temperature to properly heat treat a metal, to properly harden a metal. So steel, by the time it gets to 900, 1000 degrees, is going to start becoming a little bit softer. It's going to start becoming a bit pliable. But are you materially affecting its strength? The answer is maybe. The answer is this is something you do at your own risk. So yeah, and Jim is kind of beating me to my point here. Keep the heat on the elastic part when you're burning these bushings out, and affect that metal as little as possible. Actually, you know what? I have a working temperature gun now, so we'll see how hot this gets when we burn this out of here. Some stuff you can do actually to make sure you don't affect that crystalline structure as much as possible is be careful how quickly you cool the part afterwards. If you flash cool it, you're gonna lock that crystalline structure in whatever position that it's in. So you might make it unnecessarily brittle. But again, I don't really think, well, we'll find out in a minute what kind of temperatures we're getting to. Don't really think we're going to be reaching the kind of temperatures that we really need to start altering the structure of this metal. Now, as I was telling these guys earlier, I can prove to you that I'm a fan of burning out bushings, because sitting right out front of my garage door, stuck in the ground, is a janky old screwdriver covered with melted rubber that I use for pressing out all those bushings. So definitely not my first rodeo. So we'll lay some heat to this thing. I probably need to find a respirator. Just so I can display proper safety technique. See, this is what you get for not preparing for a show. Oh, I can wear this. This will be awesome. You guys will love this. I got this at a garage sale. Hey, everybody! All right, so I'm going to actually heat the outside metal a little bit, just so we can break the bond to the outside of that rubber. But we're going to mostly concentrate on the rubber inside here. And the first thing it'll probably let go is going to be this inside sleeve. Let that burn for a minute. Let me get the temp on. It's really hot in this thing, you guys. You come here every week. You're not getting this on Jalopnik, are you? No. You're only getting this here. This is the kind of high quality family entertainment By the way, I'm using a MAP gas torch here. You could use a cutting torch and put a lot more heat to it a lot quicker, but I'm not sure that's entirely necessary. This actually lets you control the heat a little bit. You could use a handheld propane torch, but you actually might not get enough heat to it quick enough with a propane torch. Man, Miata bushings are not screwing around. Alright, so we're going to let that burn a little bit. And I do recommend, when you do this, a nice Tiva sandal is really the proper thing to wear for this operation. So we're mid 400s, maybe approaching 500 degrees. But the rubber is well and truly on fire now. So it will begin consuming itself. Oh, and there comes the inner sleeve. Just popped right on up out of there. Alright, approaching about 575 degrees in a couple spots, and there goes the rest of the bushing. Just falling right out, rolling right towards me. And there you go. And so we never really got above about 550, 575 degrees, but that bore is nice and clean. We'll let it cool back to ambient temperature just on its own. We're not going to flash cool it with water or anything. It's, you know, a little hit with a wire brush, and it's going to be good to accept the new bushing. Yeah, I mean, it's down, it's 375 in spots, but that, you know, we're not talking about substantially altering the metallurgy of that. I mean, look, are you substantially altering the metallurgy of your oven every time you know, cook some potatoes in it at 350 degrees? So I do not really worry about you know, burning out at those temperatures. Again, don't try and heat the outside to the point where the bushing is melting out from within. Set the bushing on fire, let it burn itself out of there. You saw that inside pop right up out of there. Let's think. See if we got any. Jim wants to know, does CRC make a driveway cleaner? You know, I would never spray CRC chemicals directly on my driveway on live TV. Yeah, and Jim's making the point, below 800 degrees, you have no real worries. Yeah, so if you're joining us late, basically, steel melts at about 2400 degrees, 2500 degrees. Steel's forge temperature, you know, the temperature at which its crystalline structure breaks down and its molecular, the atomic bonds separate, is about 70% of that. It's true for most metals. Most metals have a forge temperature. It's about 70% of their melt temperature. So for steel, you're talking about 1700, 1800 degrees. Steel has a temperature where it starts to soften a little bit, starts to become a little bit workable, but you're not really materially affecting its crystalline structure or its atomic structure. Steel starts to soften, you know, depending on how good the steel is, how high the carbon content is. As low as about 750, 800 degrees, steel will start to soften. But when it cools, you're not going to really have material. You know, now, a scientist can explain this better than me because I'm an idiot. But you're not really materially affecting the granular structure, the crystalline structure, the way those atoms are linked together until you get it to the forge temperature. So as long as you don't cool it too quickly at this point, as long as you don't do anything to shock the metal and get the, you know, get whatever movement you've gotten of that crystal structure to quickly snap back into place, sort of freeze where it is, you're gonna be in pretty good shape by doing this. We never got above 600 degrees. We weren't even close to anything that's going to affect it. All right, we're gonna do one more of these, some kind of different way. Before we do that, let me tell you folks about the people that support this show. I'm talking about our friends at CRC Industries. Actually, I will take a moment here to clean my hands with a CRC hand cleaner towel. This is another one. So every time I kind of wish that CRC had something, I find out that they do, and it's better than I expected. These hand cleaner towels, I keep a container of these in my trailer. It's fantastic to have at the autocross, at a track there where you don't have access to a sink. It's really nice. I don't really like having dirty hands when I need to have clean hands. If I'm out here working, I'll get as dirty as I have to get. If I'm gonna be driving a car, I hate autocrossing, doing a track session. I hate doing that dirty. These are a fantastic way to clean up at the track on site, wherever you are, or even someplace like this. They're just a great way to clean yourself. And CRC has many great ways to do things, whether it's lubricating something that's stuck, whether it is keeping something from moving that shouldn't move with some of their spray adhesive, whether it is cleaning something with their carb cleaner or their fuel injection cleaner or their brake cleaner. Tens of thousands of SKUs from CRC and available at a store near you. So if you, madam or sir, are reaching for automotive chemicals, if you're reaching for a brake cleaner, if you're reaching for a carb cleaner, if you're reaching for a fuel injection cleaner, if you're reaching for a glass cleaner or an electronics cleaner, I love that CRC electronics cleaner. So mild, great for cleaning our camera lenses, our video screens. You're reaching for that CRC stuff, you're getting good stuff. We know that. But you're also getting a product from a company that supports this world, amateur and professional motorsports, and cool content like this and cool stuff like the Grassroots Motorsports $2,000 Challenge. Check them out at crcindustries.com or at Lowe's or at Home Depot or at O'Reilly Auto Parts or at Advanced Auto Parts or at Napa or at Walmart. Wherever you go, chances are they are selling CRC stuff there if they are selling any kind of hardware at all. Also, check out our friends at Coney Shop. Actually, let's go to the Coney Tech Tip of the Week here. Lee Grimes is going to tell us a little bit about shock dynos. I'm going through some of our YouTube comments here, and everybody liked the gas mask. I got that at a garage sale. That's where all great stuff comes from. Let us grab. All right, Lee Grimes is going to tell us a little bit about the shock dyno. Here we go.
Hello, this is Lee Grimes with Coney Shock Absorbers. I'm at the Coney America Engineering Lab with a shock absorber dyno. This dyno is an excellent tool for us to measure and quantify the damping forces that the shock absorber is going to be making at a variety of different piston speeds. That information, when plotted in a number of different graphs and printouts, will allow our engineers to help decide what is the best forces and function that are going to make the car handle well. The shock dyno is going to operate the shock at a variety of different piston speeds, and then we can plot the data and take a look at seeing what it's doing. Those eagle-eyed amongst you may recognize that this is the front shock from a Mazda Miata 2006 to 2015 MX-5, known as the ND chassis. First, I'll go ahead and get the shock operating a little bit here, and it's beginning to plot a force. The particular setup I got right now is a single piston speed, and I can increase that speed very quickly as well to give us a different force to begin with. So this way we can plot it out, see what it's doing inside, and take it from there. Now that we've gathered our data sample, next time we'll take a look at this information laid out in a couple of different graphs to help us take a deep dive into the function that the shock absorber is doing. We can begin looking to see where the rebound and compression damping are, where are the changes that happen when we make an adjustment to the shock, and so on like that. This is going to help us and our users to figure out how the car is going to be affected as it's operating on a road. For more information, go to our website, coney-na.com, for much more information about our product lines, the application lookup, new products coming down the road, and so on like that. Thank you very much for your time and for your interest in Coney.
We're back. All right, thanks to our friends at Coney. Coney-na.com. We had some people, I'll get caught up on questions here in a minute because we had some great questions come in while we were doing all this. I had some questions about Coney Man. We are going to be hearing more from Coney Man in the very near future. We've been in contact. He's trying to get his life straightened out, and I think we're going to be able to help the guy. I really do. So stay tuned. In future weeks, we'll be hearing more from Coney Man. Also want you guys to check out our new friend here, Pen Grade Oil, baby. We're going to be having one of their folks on the show in just a couple weeks to talk about oil technology. If you've got an older car, this is the sauce you need. This is the stuff with all the zinc, with all the phosphate. If you've got an older car with mechanical lifters, you know, a car without those friction-reducing roller lifters that are really kind of a more modern invention and widespread use. But if you've got a car with mechanical lifters, you have a lot of sort of high metal-to-metal pressures within that engine. The zinc's a very soft metallic additive, helps it cushion those high metallic pressures. High zinc oils, very, very good for older cars. I'm talking about stuff like 240Zs, old British cars, MGs and Triumphs, Porsche 911s, anything sort of pre-mid-80s benefits from, or anything with mechanical lifters, benefits from a high zinc, a high phosphorus oil. This is the stuff. Don't need any additives. Just pour it right in. You are good to go. Check them out at pengrade.com. It's available from high performance retailers around the country or available direct, and we appreciate them being part of the show, not just because they're part of the show, because it's good stuff. I love having people that sell good stuff join us on this show because it is very cool. Just like Autobooks Aerobooks, our friends out in Burbank, California. Check them out at autobooks-aerobooks.com, the world's greatest bookstore. Hey, bushing. Lynn St. James will be there next week, I think, but it's right on the front page of their website. Tens of thousands of books, magazines, videos, DVDs, collectibles on anything that flies, drives, floats, or goes down tracks. Really the best transportation bookstore I have ever seen in my life. And if you can't make it out to Burbank for one of their special events, check them out on the web, autobooks-aerobooks.com. All right, let's get back to some questions here that we missed. Okay, somebody asked about aluminum, and that's a great point. I didn't really bring up burning bushings out of aluminum. So if we tried to burn the bushings out of the aluminum control arms in this Corvette, aluminum melts at a much lower temperature than steel. Aluminum melts 1250, 1300 degrees for good aluminum. You know, I don't know how good the aluminum is in a Corvette control arm, but if you're starting to talk about getting up to 1100, 1150, 1200 degrees, you are in danger of liquefying that aluminum. And aluminum goes from a solid to a liquid in a much smaller window than steel does. Steel will sort of, that transition point of steel is much broader and much easier to work with. That's why, you know, steel is so easy to forge by hand. Aluminum basically goes from a solid, just drops off into a liquid within a very narrow temperature window. So you definitely do not want to melt the aluminum control arms of your C5 Corvette. So if we're talking about a metal that melts at 1200 degrees, we're talking about a metal that's forgeable at, you know, 750, 800 degrees, and you saw we were getting up close to 600 degrees with that. So this burning out process for bushings is not something I would really recommend for aluminum control arms. If you're talking about aluminum control arm, you really need to find you know, a little more mechanical way to separate bushings from an aluminum control arm. So let's see if that catches us up. Oh, somebody asked what lower spoiler they were seeing on the Corvette. Yeah, a little sneak preview of what we got coming up. This is from ACI, acivet.com. We are using that sort of as an intermediate panel because we are installing a really cool carbon fiber splitter from AJ Hartman here, RHR, and this is gonna, well, I got stuff in the way here, but this is basically our tunneled splitter. See those sweet aerodynamic tunnels under there, and we're using that spoiler as a fill panel to have something to attach this splitter to, which will sit under that that front lip there. So we'll be talking a lot more about that coming up in a couple weeks. The cool thing about all this aero stuff is we are going to take all this aero stuff, that RHR splitter, our awesome RHR wing, this spoiler, a flat plane spoiler, we're taking it all to an honest-to-God wind tunnel in Charlotte, probably in July or August. And we're going to do some actual, for the first time ever, some real-world wind tunnel testing of some of this aero stuff. And I'm really excited about that. So I am going to be really stoked to actually see, the goings-on inside a wind tunnel. A couple questions coming in from YouTube. Pros and cons of running solid steel bushings. I assume what you're talking about is spherical, monoball type bushings, or can't think that I've ever actually seen solid steel. But if you're going to make a solid metal bushing, you probably use a little softer metal like aluminum, just because it's a little bit lighter. But we talked about it a little bit earlier, and basically, when you're changing bushings, you're talking about controlling the compliance that's inherent within those bushings. A rubber bushing is going to have more compliance than a polyurethane bushing. A polyurethane bushing is going to have more compliance than a Delrin bushing. A Delrin bushing is going to have more compliance than a spherical Heim-jointed metal to metal bushing. But a rubber bushing is going to have more vibration noise isolation than polyurethane, and so on down the line. So as you get rid of that compliance, you introduce NVH into the car, and it's very much a trade-off. Your bushings are there to allow the suspension to articulate, and when you have a compliant bushing, your suspension is articulating on more than one plane because of the loads present in cornering inherent in that car. Your suspension pivots are physically moving, several thousandths of an inch or more. So by eliminating that compliance, you're controlling your alignment dynamically, but you're also introducing harshness into the car. So it's a trade-off. I can tell you that the spherical bushings we put in this thing, in the Southeast where the roads are good, still I would drive this thing on the street. No problem. In Michigan, maybe not so good. Maybe not so great. Yeah, Andrew's asking, splitter is not legal for cam. No, splitter that big is not legal for cam. It is going to be that's going to be our time trial splitter. This spoiler is cam legal, though. It sits within the bumper. So I'm curious to see what the difference is in the wind tunnel between this and between a real life splitter. All right, let's get back to our bushings here a little bit, and I wanted to do one more. Oh, I wanted to try that drill thing, because everybody's always telling me how great that works, and I have never ever had that work in my life. So let me grab a drill and some drill bits, and we will try drilling one of these bushings out here. And it's getting late here, so we're not going to try for too long. Although we have not seen any snakes yet. So I guess that's good. I mean, I guess if you're a rat, that's really good. We caught a rat last week, and I'm using live traps. I use the humane live traps for all the rats, because I'm a big pussy. I don't want to kill anything unnecessarily, unless it's delicious, and then I'll let somebody else do it for me. But so we're trapping the rats live, and we're taking them, to a rat sanctuary local here. We're taking them out, out even further out in the country. So the other day, it was raining a little bit. I didn't really want to take the rat that far, so I just hopped in our little golf cart. And I took him down our road a little bit, and opened up the trap. Go, little friend, you're free. Away with you. And he ran out, and he kind of paused for a second, and then he kind of turned around, and he ran back between my legs and across the street and down into the swale. And then literally, like at eye level to me, a hawk just appeared from it was like Predator. He was perfectly camouflaged, in like in the trees, like right at eye. I don't know why a hawk was that low, unless he got inside intel. But he literally just appeared from nowhere, grabbed the rat, and flew off. So that was, you know, hawk got to eat, but at the same time, I honestly, I think the freakiest thing about the whole thing was how well camouflaged the hawk was, and how he just like appeared out of nowhere. And you know, the next thing I knew, you know, Carl Weathers was firing a machine gun into the bushes. Like that's how awesome it was. So that was our little dose of nature that we got to experience a couple weeks ago. So okay, let's try this drill thing here. I guess what you're supposed to do. That's too big of a bit. Is drill. So the way the story goes, and I think this is just something they made up to scare kids or something, but the way this is supposed to work is you drill into the side of the bushing, and then you work the drill bit around the outside. You kind of let the drill bit just walk itself around the outside. I guess the first thing you have to do is have a drill bit that fits between the inner and outer bushings without getting jammed. And I know how this is going to end. This is going to end with me having a really good excuse to buy a better drill. Okay. So you see how we've started here. We've drilled through the length of the bushing, and now I guess I'm supposed to just let the drill walk itself around. But this is where I've never made it past this point before. This is basically like. My party usually gets wiped right about here. So the whole, I guess the theory is you're supposed to be able to kind of walk the drill bit around the outside, and that's not happening with this. The drill bit doesn't want to walk at all. But I can, I mean, maybe theoretically I can just keep drilling holes in this thing, and relieving some of the pressure, but I don't know. You know what? If this has ever actually worked for you, I've never had this work for me in my life, and this seems like kind of like the sucker way. So let's try this one in the vise. We may be able to get this one in the vise, because this one's a little bit shorter. Okay, here's what I think we're going to do. You don't have much room, but I think I got enough room. So here's just a little short 3/8 bolt with a nut rundown on it. And I'm going to put a washer there. We're going to use that as our pressing device. We'll back it up with this cup. So that's about as short of a thing as I can get that'll fit in here. Get down there a little bit. And what we could do, if we have to, oh, look at that. See, what we can do is we can just run this stop nut down this bolt a little bit to lengthen it and allow us to push a little more now that we've shortened the overall length. Like butter. I can't believe this show is free, everybody. My God, I'm 3 for 3 tonight. So, look at that. And you know what? With the drill, look at all the galling that I accomplished with that drill in there. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of the whole drill thing. But yeah, just with a nut or with a bolt with a nut on it, and you can keep adding longer. If you add further to press, keep adding longer and longer bolts, moving the nut down to adjust it. We're able to get that into a vise and able to get this baby out. I mean, I guess if you had to do the drill thing, you could eventually remove enough material that you could get it out of there. Like if you're at the track or something and that was the only thing you had, but you know, go to Harbor Freight and buy a vise and bolt it to your trailer hitch. All right, that is pretty much, so we're 3 for 3 on bushings. Look how excited you guys are. Look how excited you guys are. Yes, Gregory, we did the torch thing earlier. Yeah, I'm glad to see some other people having no luck with the drill thing, because that's never worked for me. Oh, Dean, air chisel. Yeah, we'll save that one for next time. I have an air chisel here somewhere, but I have not used it in forever, so I might fire it up and nothing actually happens. But yeah, you could actually use an air chisel even with like just a flat anvil on it to push that inner bushing out. But you really, a vise is going to be your best friend in most of these cases with one of these ball joint kits, you know, with a 20% off coupon, which is like under 50 bucks from Harbor Freight, or a torch. If you got steel control arms, don't be shy about burning those suckers out of there. You know, there's very few things that cannot be cured with fire. Jim says the drill thing is better with bushings that have outer shells. Yeah, I can believe that. I would buy that. I would not be. That would not surprise me. All right, let's wrap things up here. Let me see if I missed any questions here that are really important. I'm sorry. If I missed anybody's question, it's tricky when you know, I'm over there doing work and this is over here, but I hope I got to everybody's that was important. Don't really see anything. Yes, Dinesh recommends SFI rated safety Crocs. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I have mastered the art of welding in Crocs, where you sort of stand there and do the little Irish dance thing while you're welding because the sparks are falling at your feet. I'm not saying I'm proud of any of this. I'm not saying you should emulate me. I'm just saying that happens here sometimes. Never makes it into the magazine, but I'm not too proud to admit that those things may or may not go on here. Folks, that was the show. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks very much to our friends from CRC Industries. I used one of their hand wipes on camera earlier. I am very proud to call them a supporter of this show. It would be a great honor to me if the next time you are looking at automotive chemicals, the next time you're looking for a brake cleaner or a carb cleaner or a throttle body cleaner, that instead of reaching for something else, you reach for a can of CRC, because that helps support stuff like this. It's a great product. We know that. But it helps support amateur and professional motorsports. It supports content like this. It supports stuff like the Grassroots Motorsports $2,000 challenge. Registration is open, by the way, for the 2018 challenge. And by buying that CRC stuff, you're making a little contribution back to the motorsports community. Also, check out our friends at Koni, koni-na.com. Everybody's favorite adjustable shock absorbers. Thanks very much to Lee Grimes for the Koni Tech Tip of the Week. We'll learn more about shock dynos next week. You taught us a little bit about how they work, what kind of information they give us. Next week, we'll see how to take that information, synthesize it into our own setup. What do we do with that information once we have it? Also, thanks very much to our friends at Pen Grade Oil. Fantastic oil for older cars. If you've got an older car with mechanical lifters, if you've got an older car with a lot of high metal-to-metal pressures inside that engine, you need something with a lot of zinc, you need something with a lot of phosphorus, you need something that is the official oil of the Indy 500, you know, big deal, the official oil of the Porsche Club of America. Those are people whose credibility I trust, especially when it comes to air-cooled Porsches, because there is a dozen quarts of oil in a 911. The oil's got to be good. You know, I'm not a I don't always put a lot of credibility in celebrity endorsements, except my own. But if the Porsche Club of America is recommending something, I think that is something that you can get behind, because somebody driving a 911 is going to know the difference between good oil and bad oil, because there are a lot of high mileage 911s out there, and it is very important to have the right oil in a car that is completely lubricated and cooled by that oil. Also, check out our friends at Autobooks Aerobooks, autobooks-aerobooks.com, the world's greatest bookstore in Burbank, California. Tens of thousands of books, magazines, videos, collectibles, and great live events every week. Cruise-ins, cars and coffees, author signings. Check them out at autobooks-aerobooks.com, or check them out in person if you're in Burbank. Actually, let's give away, oh, Gregory says CRC is in his cabinet. That is fantastic. Thank you very much. And Dean has been away for a while, and he is back now, and we appreciate that. Let me give a quick shout out to the people at Nordlock. So we'll give away some free stickers here. If you've been watching the show for a while, you know that we have mentioned our great love for Nordlock locking washers in the past. Well, apparently word got to Nordlock somehow, and they were flattered, and they sent us this big box of Nordlock swag, including some samples of their wedge locking washers, which are awesome. Look, I cannot, you know, in good conscience, take all of this swag for myself. I can take most of it, but I cannot really, in good conscience, take all of it. I want to share it with you, because somehow, you know, through one of our viewers or through somebody, word got to Nordlock that we were fans, and they wanted to express their gratitude. So they did with this big box of swag. We got a Nordlock hat and shirt and these cool bottle openers. So I want to give away some of this Nordlock swag, and I also want some people, if you know what, if we're going to mention cool stuff on the air and it's just going to show up for free, let's talk about Pepsi Max a little bit. Let's talk about Carnival Cruise Lines, or, you know, Fleshlight, or whatever. But you know, I'm not proud. So we will give away a free pair of stickers to anybody that wants one. Free pair of Grassroots Motorsports stickers. Anybody that wants one, go to grassrootsmotorsports.com/free stickers. You will get 2 Grassroots Motorsports stickers in the mail. Give them a good home. We will also, for one lucky viewer, throw in some CRC stuff, and for another lucky viewer, we will throw in some of this Nordlock swag. Maybe for a couple of lucky viewers, we will regale you with one of these cool Nordlock keychains or some of the swag they sent. So big props to them. Glad they like the show. We're actually talking to them about getting a tech rep on to come, you know, show us some of their fasteners in person, show us some of the technology behind them. You know, again, I'm a big fan. So thanks very much to them. To Dinesh, let's talk about Maybachs or Koenigsegg's. Yeah, let's keep our sights a little more realistic. Folks, thank you very much for watching. All kinds of great stuff coming up. More C5 stuff. You see progress on this is ongoing. We'll be talking about the Aero stuff later. The brakes we put on last week, we went through the bedding procedure. They are fantastic. Cannot wait to get them out on track. We're going to be doing a live show from the Bristol SCCA tour on July 4th. We'll be up in Bristol autocrossing. We'll be up there Wednesday night. We're going to do the show live from the paddock there in Bristol, have some cool autocross cars on, and have a good time with everybody, and all kinds of great stuff coming up. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks to Chris Tropia running the Steadicam tonight. Thanks to Ed Higginbotham, who now has a bushing-free BMW E36 rear cradle. And thanks to everybody out there for watching. We very much appreciate it. We appreciate all the nice emails, all the great comments, everybody that liked or shared tonight. We really appreciate it. Jeff says, how does he get swag? Jeff, grassrootsmotorsports.com/free stickers. We'll send you 2 stickers, 2 GRM stickers, no questions asked for sure. And we're going to be throwing some CRC and some of this Nordlock swag in there as well for a couple of lucky winners. So that is just our way of sharing the bounty with all you folks. Great show, everybody. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate it. Yeah, Andy says he got his stickers, so that program is actually working. That is fantastic. Andy, I hope you gave them a good home. Thanks for watching, everybody. We're going to go to bed, and we're going to make sure there's no snakes in here. And we will close things up, and we appreciate it. We'll see you again Wednesday night, 9 Eastern, right here on GRM Facebook, GRM YouTube. I'm JG Pasterjack. Thank you very much for watching the funnest thing we do every week, GRM Live, presented by CRC Industries. Good night, everybody.